Hey guys, back with another Brent tutorial today, and we're at 169 BPM in the key of F sharp major, and I literally went from the B major 7th, which is the 4 chord, to the F sharp major 7th, which is the 1 chord, to the B flat minor 7th, which is the 3 chord. And that was my progression, 3 chords, nice and simple. I played it down on to my phone, voice notes with my acoustic guitar. I love the texture that gives when you literally record from your phone. Just find it sounds really nice. Then pulled that into Logic, chopped it up, as you can see, just to like grid it a little bit, give it a little bit of bounce and groove. And here's what it sounded like. Processing wise, we went for an EQ to filter out some of the mess that was in there from the recording. Then a Valhalla vintage verb, just with a little bit of verb, just sounded nice. My usual RC20, just as it comes. Actually, I cut a little bit of the range on the RC20 this time. Sound shifter pitch. Now this is interesting. I heard this sort of effect on A Moment of Your Life, and what I did was I automated, and I've done this on the synths as well. This is a really good trick. So I've brought in the sound shifter and I've automated the pitch in certain areas on the guitar. So it kind of sounds a bit strange in isolation, but with the rest of the track in, it sounds really good. It just adds some interest. It almost sounds like an old tape recorder that was going in and out like wow and fluttering. Like, actually, I've got a tape recorder, and when you tap the tape as it's rolling, it kind of does that sort of sound, which is very, very interesting. So that was going to form the main sort of body of the sample for me before we got the drums going. But then, do you know what? Actually, I then put the drums to that before I had anything else. So I literally, like, again, I sort of sung a drum groove in my head, and pretty much the drum pattern. Simple again. I just wanted some rims to accent the main snares. I went for again like an old-fashioned sort of lo-fi snare that I thought sounded nice. I think I actually took this from a Monty Booker kit. I believe I did. He's got some great sounds. If you haven't explored that kit, definitely check that out. Then I used the classic BWB Wave hat, which I thought sounded really nice. And I think I changed the envelope, well, where the start time of the hat came in, just to clip it a little bit. I've noticed like that sounded really cool, and quite a lot of producers do that as well. So I just took the end of the sample, the hi-hat sample, brought it in, and I like the bounce that gave me. Also, what I did was I highlighted all of the hats and I humanized them. So just go into here, go into the properties here, and operate only, and it just changed the velocity, the position, so they weren't exactly on grid, made it feel a little bit more like a real drummer, but I thought that added something nice. What I also did was I panned the drums to the right, but then I cut a little portion of the drums and panned them to the left, so you'll hear that if I literally just highlight. So that was really cool, and it adds interest again. What I've said before in other videos is that these are quite simple beats, simple samples, so I like to add interest by panning things, changing sounds here and there, keeping things interesting. Also added a little open hi-hat, just another textural sound that I liked. Next thing that I came to was the bass guitar, and again I kind of followed the root notes of the chords, but added a few. You can see there. That's just a chromatic passing note going to the A sharp, going to be flat there on the 3rd chord of the progression, and a little fill at the end. Just walk up, and then as the track developed, I added a few more notes in just to the last sort of thing on the fill. And then on the very last one that I had, I just added, which I thought was really nice, as a kind of, you know, every 16 bars maybe for that to come in. What I did then, because I didn't think that the bass was deep and meaty enough, and that was the Rickenbacker bass from Contact, which I use all the time if you see my other videos, I added a sub bass underneath. It's just literally a simple sub sine wave with also another wave there, and I just wanted to fill out the bottom end, and I think I dropped this an octave, and it's really low, like you probably won't even hear it. It's more just feeling it, adding a lot of presence in the low end. So what I also did was I sidechained the bass sounds to the kick. So if I play them together with the kick, you're going to see that every time the kick plays, and they don't play together that often, but I'm just clearing about 5 dB on the higher bass and only about 3 dB on the lower bass, just to kind of make some space for myself there, which I found was really helpful to be able to make the track louder, because low end takes up a ton of headroom in your track. So unless you're going to start really compressing it, you're not going to get any louder. So that's a good trick to just give you a little bit more loudness. You can squeeze a little bit more loudness out of your overall mix in the end when you stick all your processing on the master bus. So the next sound that I was looking at, the synth, which I really, really love this sound actually on this track. Play it for you here. Beautiful texture, and it was just a one shot from Monty Booker, EAPU Monty Sign. And the thing I liked about it was the extra noise and hiss that it had. It really sounded like it came from an old analog synth. Yeah, chordal wise, I just followed the chords of the guitar, filled them out a bit more. As you can see, I only used 2 notes on the guitar, whereas I've used like 4 notes and a bass note here. And then I've also just strummed the notes out a little bit manually. I always do it manually in Logic. It's just fiddly to do it with the Q flam. So I do it manually. Some I did this way, some I did this way, just to give a bit of variation. And then again, to add more variation to the keyboard line, I just started to add a top note melody in here. And you can hear my automation going on there as well. Look at that. That is pretty much a really cool trick that I did on the guitar, where I sort of used the sound shifter and I just automated the pitch to go down at the end, and I thought that sounded really cool. Again, added some nice texture. Processing wise, you know me, you know that I'm going to have RC20 on there. I'm using a bit of chorus on the microshift, this time on the second setting, which I think actually emulates the old Eventide machines that are really, really famous in the 80s and used on loads of hit records. So I love that sound there. That's pretty much it for the synth. Then there was an ear candy sound that, again, I think I took another Monty Booker one shot and created this sound. And yep, doing a bit of automation on those as well. You'll hear, I'll just play here. Cool sound that. Very low in the mix, but again, when we put everything in, you can hear that there. And just kind of like things that catch your ear and go, oh, what was that? I love to do things like that. They just sound really good to me, like really nice variation, not just your typical sort of synth sounds going blah, blah, blah the whole way through. You know me, you know I love my variation. So the last thing I actually added, there's not many sounds in this, but as I've often said, space is your friend, and you don't need that many sounds to make something sound full. In fact, the more sounds you put in, the less full it's going to sound. So the last thing I did was a little bit of vocal, just wanted to give that flavour of some voice in there. I actually focused this around the 1 and 2K, but I kept it really low because, again, that's where your vocals are going to sit when your vocals come in. So I wanted to just get it out of the way, but again, leave something for the ear that I thought sounded interesting, that added to the sample and added to the beat itself. So processing wise, we've got some reels on there, just again on the default setting. Phaser, just making a bit of movement on the sound. Microshift again, this time on the 1 setting. Shaper box, doing quite a bit on shaper box here this time, just my usual panning from side to side, which I love to do on my effective vocals, and then a little side chaining because I just wanted to give this a bit of pump and make it have a little bit of groove and bounce with the track itself. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I had in this track. So it's a short one, but I think it sounds really good. So like and subscribe, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.